Hi, welcome to That's So Nova. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. Today we're going to be sewing up the brand new pattern, the Jack Sling from UhOh Creations. Tara made this wonderful pattern and I love the way it comes together. It reminds me of the Jack, no, I'm sorry, I said the Jag. It reminds me of the Louis waistband, waist bag. And if you put together the Louis, then you're going to see that there are some similar pattern pieces and it's going to feel very familiar. It's going to feel like home. It's going to feel like Thanksgiving. It's going to be giving and eating. You're going to really love it. The pattern comes together effortlessly and it's going to feel comfortable to you. It doesn't require a lot of hardware. You need 2 3/4 of an inch, rings, rectangles, whatever you have on hand. You're going to need 2 zipper pulls, 2 zipper pulls, 1.5 inch slider. Shinova, use your words today. And a 1.5 inch swivel hook. Now hear me out. I say all these hardwares are what you need. That's per the pattern. But that's say you have other stuff in your stash. You can try, if you have a 1 inch, it's not going to hurt to use 1 inch. And if you have a 1 inch rectangular and slider, you can always modify it to have smaller pieces suit to what you have in your stash. Okay, I always implore you to use what's in your stash before you go and spend excess amount of cash. Oh, come on, I'm Dr. Seussing it for you right now. Okay. So we're going to be working on that today. Please read all the instructions. Tara has an immense amount of great instructions in the page. She gives you a diagram of what is the lining, wrong side, the lining, right side, exterior, wrong side, and right side as well. She explains in the first page what kind of interfacing you need if you do this. Goes over the hardware, printing instructions, seam allowances, the whole 9 yards, even like stitch. Then she has her cut chart and the whole 9 yards. So let's get into this. We're going to construct the body of the bag. We're going to take one back lining piece and then we're going to take the back top. I keep all my pattern pieces with my the pattern pieces that I cut out, because there are some marks on here that do add up and I always try to keep those together. We're going to sew this together at 3/8 of an inch, back stitch at the beginning and then at the end. We're going to take the seam allowance and press it towards the lining, not the exterior. And we're going to basically call understitch, but we're going to top stitch on the lining piece where the seam allowance is at. 1/8 of an inch, always back stitch. I'm using purple, so hopefully you can see it against the black. All right, we're going to grab the back lining and the back bottom. I'm doing the mini size so I can cut out and do the pieces here on the table with you. Three-eighths of an inch. We're going to take the seam allowance again. Press it to the lining, and this one's a little bit easier because this is more like a marine vinyl. And understitch or top stitch on the lining. This is a very good technique, especially if you're what this fall, I'm in winter, I'm noticing in a lot of the bags, they don't have top stitching on the edge of the pocket, but they have it on the lining piece, and it looks really nice. All right, so on the back bottom, I'm placing right sides down. We're going to measure the seam allowance from the exterior fabric, and we're going to draw a 1-inch line. And we're going to do that on the exterior first. We're using a pencil. We're going to place it and measure 1 inch down from the seam and from the exterior, and draw a line line it all the way across, fold it to the line, and we can do optional top stitching here. And if you're giving me an option, I'm going to do the top stitching. I'm going to put a little bit of double-sided tape so it can stay there. You don't have to, you can clip it, but I'm going to use some double-sided tape. So we drew 1 inch from the seam allowance on the exterior. Now I'm taking that seam and just bring it to that 1 inch. I like using pencils because they don't... Oh, I don't have to top stitch it. That looks kind of sweet with no top stitching. But you could clip it and top stitch. But it looks pretty sweet. I'm not going to lie. So, all right. Now, place the back top right sides together on the seam. One inch above the seam. All right. I'm just going to get a silver marking pen. Now, I had one. There you go. And just make 1 inch above the seam on the lining. I'm just going to draw a little mark so I know where I'm supposed to be. And this is where our pattern piece comes in. What I recommend you to do is from your pattern piece, from the top of it to the dash lines, measure where that's supposed to be. And this is going to be measurement, trust the process, because hear me out. Your top piece on I can't show you the pattern piece, but on your pattern piece, it's like a squabble circle area. This piece has to measure 1 inch above the lining. So what I did is, from the marks that I drew from the 1 inch piece, I took the measurements that are on the dash mark of the pattern piece and measured up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and baste this area where the 1 inch mark is. And then I'm going to draw out my, stitch out on my pattern piece exactly. I'm going to trace out exactly the pattern piece shape, and then do a top stitch of 1/8 of an inch and cut it out. Because if I sit here and trace it when there's two components moving in opposite directions, I am going to mess up, because I need it to stay perfectly still, perfectly aligned. So I'm just going to stitch down one side just of an inch or two, just like a loose base, the basting. And this is just my little technique. You can clip it. I just want this area where we know it has to be 1 inch above. I wanted it to be not moving. All right. So now I'm going to take the pattern piece and this is the beautiful thing about silver marking pens and chalk, is that you can erase it. This is just water and a pen. But because this piece is exactly basted on, I can finagle it however I want it. All right. And I'm just trying to get a rough trace around here as best as I can. All right, so I have my pattern piece. I'm going to sew within that line, basting it. All right. Now I'm going to cut 1/8 of an inch away from the stitches. And you can use your rotary. I'm just doing a tutorial, so scissors it is. Because I didn't think you want to be hearing me cutting at my work table like, this is what I'm doing. I mean, I could have brought you with me, but to be honest with you, I'm way better with scissors than I am with a rotary. We all have our strong suits, and this is, and our weaknesses, and mine's, my friend, is a rotary. All right, so we have this cool little pocket. All right, so we should have, you should have cut out your main one, and whoop, whoop, they're the same size. Okay, so we're going to, just because they're here, I'm going to base mine to the foam. I have one piece that's just like, whoa, I'm just going to stick out. And these are like scrap pieces of foam. I'm doing the mini, so they're not that big. You can sandwich and do them all together at once. That's not my skill set. I mean, we're going to probably get to that point like right now because we're going to do the lining. I'll leave one to do all together. How about that? Yeah, I'll do, and you'll see why. That's not my skill set. But see, it looks really good. This is so cute, right? And when you look inside, it just looks all classy. Like, what? All right, so we're going to do our lining slip pocket. So you need your slip pocket. And I made mine's purple for you guys. You're just going to fold this over. Wrong side's touching. And you're going to top stitch. I love the fact that there's like a lot of slip pockets because for me, that's how I just throw my phone in my slip pocket and call it a day. I don't really zip up my zippers in my bags. All right, so we're going to take one of these and then we're going to clip it in place. So what I like to do when I have pieces like this is I clip them and I like to stitch them from the back because realistically I can't see it in the front and it just makes my life so much easier just to sew it from the back because then I could just cut out the excess and the pocket will be perfect. Perfect. And then we trim to fit the pocket. And there you go. You have this nice and sweet pocket. And I'm going to put this on the back side of this. Unless you want your pocket in the front, you can do that too. So that you can be like, oh no, I want it in the back. But it's traditionally, I think people like to have it on the back side of their pocket. All right. We have the back done. I have so much chalk on this one. All right. I don't know if I can show you guys how to sandwich. It's not like a whole lot of room on this one. Does anyone else like the sound of scissors? They're just like, it's an amazing sound. I need ASMR of this to go to sleep with, and I think I would just be like in like some kind of weird heaven. So this is going to be the front. Flip you right here. And this is the front pocket. I mean front lining. You also are going to see me do attempt to do binding, guys, with elastic, because it's what says on the pattern. Yeah. Okay. Cutting excess foam. Make sure you do cut away excess foam, because you don't want that to be included in the seam allowance, you know. All right, not too shabby, not too shabby. So we have our body of our bag done. See how like it just it's breezy. I can't explain. It's like it comes together pretty nice. So now we're going to get our, we need our, this to be off the table. We need our strap, and we need the strap sling exterior. All right. So I'm going to singe this. I like to make sure it's like, there's like a nice little crust. If it's polyester, like it's like glossy. Okay. And you want to extend it to about 1 inch out. I'm going to machine base this in place. And even though we're machine basting, I'm going to backstitch. It's not like we're going to take out this machine baste it, so you might as well utilize it and anchor it to it. And on this piece, I am going to draw the 3/8 of an inch. Hear me out. So we're going 3/8 of an inch all the way around, and this is a very unique shape. So because of it being unique, I want to make sure that I hit all the correct areas and corners so it looks correct and not all wonky. So I want to make sure I hit all the pivot marks and have my needle down in areas that need to be having the needle down at. There is no shame in tracing. I just want you to know that. I trace everything. sometimes doing the shortcuts can make you, when the bag doesn't turn out the way you want to, that frustration is the shortcuts. Sometimes we just have to do things a little bit longer and it'll be fine. So we're going to place these two pieces together. And we're going to sew 3/8 of an inch and make sure you hit those marks and pivots. Take your time. If you feel like tense or anxiety, put the needle all the way down, get up, walk away, drink some tea, get a breath of fresh air, do whatever you got to do. Backstitch really well at the beginning and the end. Here's the first one, and we're going to pivot just a slightly, it's not too big. The second one's coming up, needle down. Then we're going to go across. Needle down. We're back at the 3/8. And there's going to be a slight pivot coming up again. All right, so this is a 3/8 seam allowance, so there's going to be some bulk. I'm going to grab a pair of pinking shears. First thing I'm going to do is cut the corners at a diagonal so that it can be sharp and not hitting the seam allowance at all. This area is going to be a little bit harder because of the fact that we basted it in place. So I'm just going to cut out like a V without touching the stitches and or the webbing. If you accidentally hit the webbing, it's cool. That's fine because you can just set, singe it. And then I'm just going to pink this seam allowance. I'm doing it a little under 1/8 of an inch. I mean, a little above 1/8 of an inch. All right. Then I'm going to flip this. Let's see. And if it's a little tough, you always can, if you have like a blow dryer or something, you can just hit it with that. Then I'm going to poke out the curves with a precision tool that's not having a really blunt tip. It's just like a nice rounded tip. And I'm running this down the seam. Okay, I'm just doing the same thing on this side. Okay, and then we're going to top stitch. This could be a really cool area to have your label on too, if you're looking for an area. Okay, we're going to top stitch this at 1/8 of an inch all the way around. And just roll those seams out and just have a little patience with it. It's an unusual shape. Then we're going to go across it again at 1/4 of an inch. And if it's easier for you, you can do the 1/4 of an inch first, because you can look at it with your guide first and then do 1/8 of an inch. It's whatever is easier for you. All right, we are done with that part. Oh, sorry, I'm knocking over cameras. All right, so we're on page 5. We're gonna start constructing the back pocket, the back of this. We're going to put this up here in the center. Finding your centers is a little bit difficult with all this bulk, but you can do this. And also, if it's too thick, remember you can find your center on your pattern piece and draw it on your pattern. So just cut out the notches. It's another reason why I always keep pattern pieces with me, because they're more accurate. And then my top one matches out perfect, and the original bottom one not so much. So it just helps tremendously to have the correct stuff. I'm going to baste that in place. Okay. I'm just going to kind of roll this out of the way for right now. And I don't have a rubber band by me. That's classic UhOh. Okay. And we're going to grab the strap anchors, and we're going to find our centers, and we're going to put them in the center, and we're going to top stitch down the sides. I'm not using vinyl. I'm actually using waterproof canvas on this, because waterproof canvas is amazing when it comes down to stabilization. It doesn't like budge. The weft and the wefton is very tight, so it's actually a really great stabilizer. And it's really thin, so it does not create a lot of bulk. So I'm going to just stitch down the sides at 1/8 of an inch. All right, and then I'm going to slide the rectangle ring in here. And we want to leave about a 1/2 inch out. And I'm going to, I made a slit for where the straps anchors should be, and I'm just going to put a mark, and I'm just going to hang out a 1/2 inch and baste this into place. And do the same on the other side. And then we're going to start making the gusset. All right. So to make the gusset, we need, of course, our zipper. We will eventually need our base, but we need our zipper gusset and our little flange. And you guys should remember these pieces. They're super adorable, and they have mirrored pieces. So what I'm going to do is, in the pattern piece, there is a hole that you need to know where to stop and kind of like bend at. And I'm just kind of drawing where that mark where our needle needs to be at on here. All right. At the ends of our zipper tape of our gussets, there are different zipper markings, different tapes that you need. For each zipper length has different zipper sizes. So let's see. Each zipper has different sizes based on the bag, and it pretty much aligns exactly with your zipper gusset. So just keep that in mind. You're going to need this straight side to line up with the zipper tape on one side, and that you need the mirror piece of the lining on the other side. Okay, I know it's gonna feel weird. You know what? I should have put this marking on the back of the piece. Don't mind me. This is not my first time doing this. It's just such an interesting piece that I always forget how to do this. So I'm just going to put this on your lining piece, not your top, on the back piece, not the front. So we're going to put this here, and I'm just going to, I found it easier, to be quite frankly, to put double-sided tape on the part that's straight, that goes against the zipper, but only until that point that it's straight to straight. It was easier to maneuver. And then clip it into place, if that makes sense. So where it's straight, there's on the pattern piece, there is a place that says zipper side, and that's the straight edge. So I like to put double-sided tape 1/8 of an inch on that side. Okay, 1/8 of an inch on this side too for interior. I'm using waterproof canvas, but you can easily use cotton. What we're going to do is we're going to sew a 3/8 of an inch exactly, and then when we get to this point, we bend the zipper. So look how it's straight, and at this point we bend the whole zipper, and it comes at an angle like this, and we sew off. So we just have to be just a little bit paying attention. So when you're sewing, you just have one side's going to be easier than the other. So we just need to start off with the clips. One side is just going to be a little bit easier. One side you're going to basically start off with the bend and then sewing the rest of the way down. The other side, you don't have to do that. It's very unusual, but it works out. So just know that you're sewing 3/8 of an inch, but the reason why I think double-sided tape works is where the double-sided tape ends is where the bend begins. We bend, and then these two parts right here become one, and this is how our gusset winds up turning into each other. It's pretty cool. They're like little phalanges. And you're sewing a straight line. You're never sewing in a curve. That's the key. The zipper curves, you don't curve the bullet. You're not in Matrix. You're just sewing a straight line. The zipper curves, you don't. Okay. I didn't get like 1/8 of an inch, and it's going to drive me batty. Hold on. There we go. And I'll show you now. See, like it looks like it's buckling because you had this area goes on straight. You didn't bend. The pattern piece did. So the pattern piece bended. You didn't bend. You sewed a straight line. So now we're going to pull this back and top stitch. And I give this like a nice little tug so that way none of the seam allowance is like sinking in. And it gives the body of the bag its shape. It's super cute too. The first time I did it on the Louis, I was like, what is she making me do? And then when I did it, I was like, oh, this is genius. Because like we're always manipulating the zip, like the pattern pieces, but I've never seen anyone manipulate the bag. So let me get these silver marking pens off the exterior. Okay, we're going to flip this back onto the lining side. Okay, it would help if you lining side. Wow, okay. It was like no bueno. All right. So on the right side, I'm going to put double-sided tape only on the straight end. That's it. Where it stops, you stop with the double-sided tape. Right sides. And you mean if your machine's like, I hate double-sided tape, you can definitely clip it. I'm just saying that for like unusual sides, like one side's going to just be super easy in your brain than the other. I haven't put my zipper pulls on yet because I find it easier not to put my zipper pulls on until I constructed both sides of the zipper panel. Okay. Okay. And this side will be easier to sew up, but it's going to be harder to stop at this point and bend and get all of this to be caught. So again, what we're doing here is we're holding this. We're going to hold this. We're going to sew. Where's my little stiletto? Okay. We're going to sew at 3/8 of an inch. Where are you, camera? Okay, this one will be better. We're going to sew 3/8 of an inch. Right here when we get to that dot, we're going to hold and just bend the zipper. Hold and bend. So 3/8 of an inch, stop, and then bend the zipper. And then we finish out the 3/8 of an inch. And that makes the body have the movement in the zipper and not the back. Like it's the what happens is, again, it's not the pattern pieces that are working. It is the zipper that is now doing all the cool stuff. It's like it's not the pattern pieces. It's the zipper that is now molding to the shape. So 3/8 of an inch. I'm getting to that really cool spot real quick. I'm going to stop and then just bend, but I'm trying to make sure that both pattern pieces are doing the same thing. And everybody's like, hey, we're sewing at 3/8 of an inch still. Because I think it went off. Okay, that one was crazy, but it bent. I think it went a little off. I might have to take out some stitches on this one. I'm one of those people that if I do something wrong, I'm going to let you know, because one, I'm not perfect. Like I'm a constant work in progress. And two, I make mistakes. We're here together. If we don't, we are here together trying to do things and work things out. But yes, I think this one went off just a hair, and this is such a small area. You don't want to be off, because then like when you're putting in the gusset, it could slightly just be a little bit off, a little bit wonky, and you're trying to figure out what is going on. Why is my bag looking like this? And it's just because it just went off just by a hair. So I'm just going to go over again, since I took off a little bit of the stitches. I'm just going to go over again that one area and back stitch, and what that one little area that I went over 1/8 of an inch more, it's going to kind of be concealed when I do the top stitching, so I'm not too concerned with like the holes showing. We're going to top stitch this bad boy 1/8 of an inch. All right, whoop, whoop, we got this. All right, now we're going to put on the other side. And this is like any other one. What I like to do is I like double-sided tape. You don't have to. You can just do clips. I like to put double-sided tape 1/8 of an inch on the lining piece. And then I'll place the lining piece, wrong sides of the zipper tape on the lining piece, but we see the right sides of the zipper. Hold on. Okay, got that. Then I'm going to place this on top. All right. We're going to sew this at 3/8 of an inch. Okay. And then we're going to top stitch this. One-eighth of an inch. And then we're going to just go all the way around at 1/8 of an inch. Okay, and then we're just going to close these little guys up too on the other side. And then I'm going to put the zippers on, and then we're going to put the bottom gusset, and we're going to put the bottom gusset on, and then we're going to start the first half of putting this back together. I think these bags are, they're just so cute. Okay, this is, if you need your little thingamabobber, your whatever tool you need to put your zipper pulls on, this is the time. Make sure you put it on now, because if you don't, then it's going to be sad that your bag is super cute and you can't get into it. you want to be able to get into your bag, my friends. Okay, so we're going to place this. Look at how nicely that fits together. Super sweet. This and this right sides together. So lining touching lining, exterior touching exterior, and then we're going to sew them together at 3/8 of an inch. Okay, flip these back, and then we're going to top stitch. One-eighth of an inch. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of feeling like this black with the purple, this might need to be like a new color combo for me. So again, exterior with exterior. Lining with lining. We're gonna meet raw edges with raw edges. So I'm just gonna clip these together first, and then 3/8 of an inch, back stitch. I like to back stitch over the teeth too. It's just something I like to do to ensure they don't go flying. I know they won't, but in my head they do. We're gonna top stitch. All right, so we're going to close up the bottom gusset so it becomes one. Okay. Oh, you know why I like the purple? I think it's because it matches my nails. You know, like when you see something and you're like, why do I like it? And then I'm like, could it be that I'm looking at my nails and I'm just like, ooh, spooky season. All right. So this part is interesting. Like the Louis, it's half birth, half binding. You gotta love when you get to do both the best worlds, you know. So we're going to put seam to seam. And we're going to find our centers. So 3 out of 4 of these you can do the little knots. This is the 3rd one. But this 4th one, do not, for the love of Pete, do not snip into your zipper. It's not cute. It does not want you to do that. Just get a pen. Okay, we're going to go get our front. And I'm going to get my silver marking pen. And I'm going to put the front, the back, and then there are, like I said, gusset marks for the side. And I'm just going to make those marks. And I'm going to put this right sides together. So Tara is very talented. And I can say that because she's my friend. But one thing she is absolutely brutally good at is gussets. And you, my friends, are going to be in for a treat, not a trick, when you put this gusset together. Let's get some clips. Oh, snugger snaps. I messed up. I told you I messed up. We were not supposed to put this lining on together with it. No, 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 sir. Let me remove this lining and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. I apologize for that. I will put a note in the beginning. Please do not sew your lining to your exterior front. All right. So you this is what I was talking about. I did clip this so you didn't have to watch me clip. So you just clip it all the way around, just like you normally do. You can see how the little phalanges are right there, the little tentacles. You clip it all the way around. And what I'm talking about, you're in for a treat, is because, not a trick, even though it's Halloween-ish. It's October when I'm doing this. If you follow me, I do this thing called Novoween. I dress up. I love Halloween. Yada, yada, yada. But it's a perfect gusset. She does this like every time, and I love the fact that she does this. So as you can see, it's clips all the way around. There's no snipping into the corners, none of that. So we're going to take this to our machine, and we're going to sew this around like 1/4 of an inch right now, okay? We're just going to get this into place before we put this together, okay? Like I'm doing like a scant 1/4 of an inch. I'm an over clipper too, guys. And since we're not trimming, I always backstitch. Here, rule of thumb is if you're not going to be like, if it's binding or if you're not like trimming things down, then just backstitch. It makes no sense to have like a loosey-goosey like stitch out there. Just, you know, secure it. This is such a cute size. At the end of this video, I'll put like pictures comparing the medium, which is the biggest size, and then this is the mini. I was going to say medium. That's a cute thing. Next to each other so you can have a comparison, but this is a really cute size. Now, what you're going to have to pay attention to, if you're like me that likes to put these like big gaudy zippers on, because why not, especially when it's a tiny bag. I don't know, there's something about a tiny bag with big zippers that get me every time. You just need to be really cognizant and very aware when you're going to do this next step with the zipper placements, and to make sure you don't sew over a zipper and break a needle. All right. So this is we're going to be birthing this. So we're going to leave a small opening like from here to here. So we're just going to be folding this and clipping this. I hate clipping these. I usually when I'm not on camera, like I usually like sew half of this down on one side and like just kind of mold this into like the shape it's supposed to be. Clipping these things drive me, because I like the zipper likes to buckle and curl, and so when I notice is that when I like don't, so like when I don't like, but like when I don't pin it or clip it, and I'm able to control and see what the other side has before I sew it, it like comes out smoother. I don't know if that makes sense, but like I can like unroll any like hiccups before they happen. See, like that's not smooth. Okay. Stuffing this like a little bit of burrito. I will still lift up clips just to make sure like the zipper and everything is really, really smooth. I don't want like an unsmooth, wrinkly, crinkly area. That drives me nuts. So I'm going to sew this with a 3/8 of an inch. And I'm going to start at the beginning of this curve. And if it's not like smooth, I'm just taking my stiletto and just kind of like trying to smooth it out as best as I can. And the zipper is mainly where I'm focused at because that if there's a lump or a bump, you're going to see it on not only the exterior, but the interior. And I'm just kind of like finagling this while I'm sewing an area that I'm pushing it into another. I will take forever in something like this. I don't care because I just spent all this time making sure that this bag looked good. I'm going to make sure that this one part is not going to make me cry over my bag. And I will cry. I'm not going to lie. But we all have skills that we've learned, and we all like kind of know what our Achilles is. Like, what is the thing that will make or break our bag when we know it? So I feel like knowing. Sorry, my dog is. So I cracked the window, and every time I do this, I always am like, I regret it. Whenever it's a little bit cooler and it's not too cold out here, I like to like have fresh air. And if someone's been sick in the house, I like to, I don't know, air out the house. It's just something that my abuelita always used to say. Like you have to air out the house when someone's been sick. And I have an older dog, and she has like zero patience. As she's getting older, she's like, she hears a butterfly or a bird flap their wings, she's like, oh, I'm on attack mode. All right, and there's Loki. He's not, and that the thing about Loki is he's like reactive. So like if Roxy barks, he has to bark. All right. So we're not like trimming down anything. We're just going to birth. So you have the mini is going to be so much probably difficult more than any other thing to birth. So I'm just going to take my time. And just slowly birth this. And again, it all depends on your material. If you have like softer cotton or just like waterproof canvas, it all depends on your material that you have and the birthing hole. Okay, I'm gonna birth this and I'll come right back. Okay, as soon as I said, let me get back to you guys. I put this to my chest. I don't know how you guys birth, but I like to cling something. I don't know why. It has to be close to my body for me to birth it. And it popped out. So now I'm going to run this across the seams. I think I got a pucker. I'm not too sure yet. Sometimes you have to run like a chopstick or a non-blunt tool across something to see. All right, I do the most. So hear me out. I get a lot of people like, hey, your seams look really good. I do a lot of work with my seams before the bag is finished. So the next thing we're going to be doing is binding. So I'm going to make this seam look good because we're going to be top stitching. And I want this to look as nice as it possibly can. So I will take the time and clean this up as best as I can. To make sure it looks good. So we have this birthing hole, okay? And we need to close it up. So we're going to top stitch all the way around. Now you can use double-sided tape. You can use double-sided tape. You can use whatever you want. I like to use the beacon glue to close it up, and then oh my god, this beacon or mag tack, sorry, 808, all of them are like the same thing. This is just gonna be I live in Maryland, and I promise you this time of the year when fall is here and it like everything dries up. I don't know what it is. I'm putting it on this side, and then what I'm going to do is try not to get it everywhere else, is close this up as neatly as I can. See how it's already trying to stick? All right. You can let this sit and dry. It'll take like 5 minutes, but I'm going to start top stitching. So we're going to top stitch from seeing the exterior. So I'm going to start at the bottom, back stitch, and then go 1/8 of an inch all the way around. You can pull your threads to the back, but I am notorious for not doing that unless it's like applique or something like that. I usually start like in a corner, so the back stitch is not super noticeable. And this can be kind of tight. And if you want, you can open this up if you feel like it helps. Okay, I'm going to back stitch. All right. I did not get this really, really good. You can always hand stitch. It's not the best. It's not the worst. All right. It has a little bit of the white coming out, and I'm just like, You see I'm kind of pressing in the little flange so that way I can have the body of the bag just a little sitting right. I'm trying to debate if I'm just going to go over this one more time, because majority of it is caught in there. I might just do a couple hand stitches. But yeah, that looks pretty good. This next part we don't have to birth. It's all binding. All right. All right, I'm going to mark the marks. Okay. Move the glue. Not gonna lie, I'm a tad bit nervous about the binding of the elastic tape. Now, If you're like, Shnova, can I bind the front? There are some people in the testing team that did, and it came out absolutely gorgeous. So have at it. There's people that did it. If you go into looking at some of the testers' work, one of the testers' name is Nancy. She did it, and it looked really beautiful. I might just like hand sew like a trim, maybe. Sorry, I was getting the excess glue off because it was going to bug me. Clips flying. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with this one. We're going to do like a scant 1/4 of an inch or a little bit over 1/8 of an inch, and then we're going to bind this. There are binding measurements, like exact binding measurements that you need, which again, I love that so that you're not like wasting material. And then we're going to work on the strap. And I love the fact that this doesn't need like an excessive amount of hardware or any of that. All right, let's get her done. If you need to just push it down, you can move it. It can get squishy because it's foam, so it's going to bounce back. There's no Decavel in here, so it's going to bounce back nicely, which is nice. I like to, when I'm going over like the strap connectors, I like to backstitch on here because we're basing this on, but we can utilize these bases like to have like reinforcement, you know. I should have put pins. I'm like looking at them. I'm like, I should have, could have, would have kind of scenario, but it's fine. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be cute. I have an idea, and it might just work out smashingly. I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a piece of waterproof canvas and I'm just gonna bind this little area real quick. Let's go get the elastic. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this now, the tails, but I'm also going to trim the excess to be flush because you're binding. And here's my binding by Nancy. I hope that I have your skills with this. I'm going to bind with the top being at the top because no one looks at the top of your bag. It's always at the bottom. And I'm going to give it a nice little tug. And the center part here, I'm not I'm just telling you what I'm doing. I'm still like working on being cool at this. I'm going to match my center with the center part of here and just clip so it could be even. Get this nice and snug. I was told last time that I did not pull hard enough on this, so I'm giving this a good, like, not like I'm putting it in my ponytail, but like snug so I could wrap around well enough. So we shall see. A couple times I've done this and it worked all the way around. I was like, son of a biscuit eater, I did it. I did it. All right, so I'm going to trim this and fold it over so it can conceal the raw edges. And then I'm going to sew this at a 3/8 of an inch. Cross our fingers, guys. We can do this. We got this. Not me singing Let It Go in my head, thinking that the power of Elsa is going to make this work. Does anybody else sing like a tune when they're sewing, or is it just me? And like mostly it's like Disney tunes, like Disney princess tunes. I sing so many Disney tunes that like my kids, like they now hate Moana, they hate Coco, they hate Encanto, they hate Brave. When they do watch them, they like kind of watch them on like a low key status, like I'm not in the house, because they know as soon as I hear it, a song, I'm going to start singing it. It's not my fault that Disney makes really catchy stuff, or it could be because I like musicals too, because I was watching Demon K-pop and like their songs are so addicting. And make no mistake, guys, I can't sing. Like my mom had an amazing voice, and my dad has an amazing voice. I can't sing, but I love music. Okay. This is how did I manage not to like? All right. Woo! How did I not get any of it on the other side? Okay. That's what I was talking about. I was embarrassed, and now I'm truly embarrassed. This is why elastic is not my friend. It's okay. We don't give up. Progress means progression. You know, we got to keep, trying, practice, progression. So when I did another bag, I hit them. I was hitting the marks on both sides. I only didn't get like the crossover. But this one, I managed not to get any of them. That's lucky. Sometimes it's like that. And all we have to do is smile and know that sometimes it It's just like that. It's okay. It's not the mistakes that we make, it's how we react to them. So if we're not throwing our machine across the room or our project, we're doing good. All right. So snip, snip. And I'm going to show you how I fight the frizz on this. Okay. So black. Hold on. So do I have a scrap piece of black? Let's see. Let me cut one. It is not very big. So I would cut like a 1-inch piece. Okay. And water resistant canvas doesn't really fray. I would kind of make a band-aid, but I would do it across the whole bag. Hear me out. When you put a band-aid in just one location, it's really noticeable. But if you have it across the whole entire bottom, it looks like it was meant to be there. Now, you could put double-sided tape, but we just put that glue. So I'm going to use some clips. And I'm just going to sew this like with the seam allowance. I'm going to squish this out of the way. I'm going to do 1/4 of an inch so that way it's not too radical. Back stitch. Just going to put a little band-aid. And therefore, we're covering up that hideous white mark. Sounds like I'm going to run out of bobbin. And I did. Well, I mean, you did good. You did good, girl. Let's see if I have another one. Everything that could happen did happen on this, so okay. Okay, going to put my clips back on right here and then redo this. Move this out of the way. And if there's like any excess, you can easily snip it away because it is waterproof canvas. All right. And just like that, that hideous white spot is gone. What? All right, so Let's earth this bad boy. Oops, and I hit myself in the face with the bag. That's always nice. And just rolling out the seams, it's always good to do, especially when you have like a binding. This is not just the super cutest thing in the world. Rolling out the seams. Oh my goodness. You're adorable. And then you can always put a warm towel in here and just let it sit overnight so it can get his little form. Like, tell me this is not cute. Okay. And then we're going to put, because like the seams, especially for like binding, it wants to like roll in. So some of my tips I can give you is like, I sometimes take my seam roller and like, it's our version of ironing when we can't use an iron, and it does help. Like, see how this one, look at that from that. I know it's like not a dramatical difference, but you see how this side now is not being sunk in and this side's being sunken in. It does help. It's a process. It's not a fun process, and a lot of people wouldn't take the time to do it, but I do. I'll take that time, and it does help dramatically. It's just a regular seam roller. This doesn't have anything special. If you have a metal, plastic, whatever, just take the time to do that, and you'll see a dramatic difference in your bag making skills. All right, so we're going to get this all straight. We're going to thread our guide in here. We're going to take our glider. We're going to feed it through. And we're going to feed it through this little slidey bar up and over. Once we do that, we're going to take our swivel hook and feed that through. So from upside down, we're going to feed this through again. We're going to go inside and go back through the glider. When we do that, we want to take that and fold that onto itself. Because if you don't fold this and like secure this, then this won't be able to move. The point of this is that you want this to be able to slide freely. Let me hold on. So let me unslide this again. All right. You slide. You take your tri-glider up and over. Feed your swivel hook. Go inside, and you can make this loop bigger. Weave through the first bar and go under. Finish the folded in. Sorry, I'm trying to give myself some more slack, and I guess I did not give myself slack. Put your tri-glider on, go back in, do the tri, up, and over. And then we're going to just fold, and we're going to just, you can rivet this to itself, or you can top stitch it. Either way, by doing this, you're securing this where you can now do it where it's adjustable. So I prefer to rivet, but I also like the look of it being stitched down. So you can fold this onto itself, or you can fold it on fold it onto itself, or you can rivet it. So I'm just going to sew it just because it's right here. I'm going to put a clip. Just going to do a top stitch, and then I'll show you real quickly. You're going to move the exterior, the top part out of the way. You're just going to top stitch under. So you're top stitching these two onto itself. So this, you're going to fold. You can fold it under, and you're going to top stitch this two under. So that way you can slide this and it won't move. So this little wing, fold it under, and then top stitch it. So I'm going to put just like one row of stitching on it real quick so you can see how it works. And I usually put like a box or an X because it holds it, and the stitching works just fine. I'm just going to put an X so you guys can see. I actually sometimes prefer the stitching because with cotton or with the like the plastic or the PVC or whatever, if you put too many holes, it frays very easy. Just like you see it fraying off when it gets cut, it frays extremely easily. And wherever you place the rivet, if you're not like singeing it, it can fray. So let me show you. Hold on. Let me grab that. So that loop that we made, you sew it onto that strap, not to this one, not to this top part one, but to itself, the one you made. So now you can move this tri-glider all the way to the top, and you can adjust it. And you want to make sure you don't have like an open mouth wide one if you're using thin like webbing, like seatbelt webbing like this is, because then it doesn't catch to anything. I see a lot of people like, hey, my seatbelt webbing's not like staying, and the first thing I notice is they have like a big wide mouth like tri-glider. You don't want that. You want to have like the old school, very skinny, very thin, because if not, it's gonna defeat the purpose. This is gonna be all free. This gets sewn on, and I usually just, like I said, sew 2 rows of stitching and then have an X. And even with that, I hit it with a little bit of heat on this from the stitching, and it works really well. I try not to actually rivet this as much as I want to. The only place sometimes I would rivet this has like 1 inch of webbing in here. You can hit it with a rivet here, but because it has it's been pieced together and then it's top stitched twice, you really don't have to. And again, who's going to be carrying around a bowler bag with like this small little thing? This is so cute. These are 9-inch scissors. I'm just saying. All right, so you just made a slip jack, and you just made this bag, and you went around on a journey with me. We made it. We made a, like an adjustable strap. We made 2 slip pockets. We gave birth. We bound a bag. I think we did a lot together. I hope you really enjoyed the jack slip sling bag. If you have any questions about this pattern, please comment down below. Commenting on this channel helps tremendously. If you want to hype it up, because there's these new hype buttons on here, you can do so. If you want to see more patterns from UhOh Creation, please let me know. I've done a few on this channel. Please check those out as well. So comment, like, share if you think it's worthy, and I can't wait to talk to you and see you later. Bye.